Because he had sex with a tiger. When I asked him, he told me he had sex with a tiger. Do you know Chano Pop? And then she said, yeah, I had dinner with him on Friday.
네, 안녕하세요. 대한민국 장사건입니다. 오늘의 게스트는 이제 약간 특별한 게스트인데 일명 이제 뉴욕시티 영어회화 1타 강사. Would you introduce yourself briefly?
Hi, I'm Nicole Lawrence, and yes, I'm from New York City. I can't speak Korean, but I understood he's introducing me, and I'm so happy to be here. I've been in Korea a few times, living here a few times, and I travel globally to teach English. I have been an English teacher, English tutor, consultant, and worked with all ages and all ethnicities, people from different countries. But to be honest, I know favoritism is not good, but my favorite people to work with are Korean people.
제가 이분 만났는데요. 이분이 그러니까 일반적으로 한국에는 되게 많은 영어회화 강사분들이 오는데 해외에서 근데 일단 커리어가 달라. 그분들은 이제 그냥 영어를 이제 자기 모국어니까 이렇게 한국에 와서 영어 회화를 하는데 이분은 뉴욕시티에서부터 그 커리어가 좀 굉장하더라고요. 일단 굉장한 수준을 떠나서 제가 일단 영어회화 1타 강사. Excuse me, there. How many Korean students have you been teaching in New York City?
Yeah, in New York City, at least 100 over the time. Many of them I helped them through their masters and then into their job interviews and through their companies. So many of them stayed with me to help with their English. And also then I became well known with the CEOs and business owners and executives. So I helped with people doing business in New York City. So yeah, so
Korean company.
Yes, Korean company.
For example.
Yeah, actually I had a lot of, usually the most famous ones like Samsung, LG, and
삼성, LG, 현대.
Yeah, and a few like some people who are business owners who came to America, Koreans, who came to make their own fashion company or their own business if they're the owner. But the executives are usually from the famous ones in Korea.
We will talk about it more later.
Okay, yeah,
삼성, 현대, LG. 그러니까 이분이 뉴욕시티에서 이제 삼성, 현대, LG 그러니까 우리나라 기업 임원들을 좀 담당하면서 영어를 가르쳤던 분이거든요. 그분들의 실력을 잠시에 공개하도록 하고. Okay, then. As you're like English teachers, you have a lot of huge background and high qualified maybe teaching skill, although you also have gone through so many students from each country. What are the characteristics of students from each country? Could you tell briefly?
Yeah, sure. I really hate to stereotype, but I think I've learned that some cultural, people's cultural background has formed habits in people from different countries. And I can explain the habits, especially with the learning, with how people interact with their teachers and how they feel about education and their study methods and habits. You want to explain that before I keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. I did notice people from Europe, well, depending on the country, but many European countries, they're very carefree and they have fun, but they don't always get so serious. So they're just like, yeah, okay, whatever, I made a mistake, you know. And
맞아.
I know that Americans should never really stereotype people from the Middle East, but I try not to. But I must say my experience has been that the men, actually only men, I've only worked with men from the Middle East, and they don't respect me at all as a woman. And people from some countries where Spanish is the spoken language, not Mexico, but some other countries in Latin America, I've had some men touch me or their hand on my leg and ask me to have wine or something. And I love how I've never had that kind of experience with Korean people, ever.
한국 사람 되게 점잖으니까 Korean people are very kind, right?
Yeah, very kind, very respectful.
And they are very passionate learning English.
Yes.
That's why they went to the New York City, right?
Right, yeah. So I think, and the other thing is that Korean people know that they are responsible for their own success and their own progress. where I think most other countries where the people I worked with felt like, you're the teacher, like why am I not improving quickly? Like, how much? Yeah, like, yeah, okay, well we met 4 times. I'm not a magician. Yeah. Many times it's usually after about 4 appointments, like, oh, I don't feel my English is improving. Really? How much did you study?
I understand like what your situation, because Koreans are always eager to like learn. They want to learn like fast, or they feel like learning is kind of competition. So
yes,
they,
yes.
it is kind of like there's like some racing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why
yeah.
always push the teacher. Teaching you more, like that.
And that's why I love it. I have so many materials, and I have a lot of curriculum I developed by myself. So each student, I know how much I can push them. And Korean people usually want to like more and more. I want to learn as much as possible.
Good learner.
I love it.
This is like a personal question. Of course, like there's a Korean also like there are Korean students. What about the other like Asian students? For example, like Japanese or like Chinese. Is there some difference among them?
Well, I haven't worked with many Chinese or Japanese students, but I've worked with some. And I would say that there are, again, a little bit of stereotypes, I guess, but it's hard for me to say all Japanese people or all Chinese people.
You don't have to generalize everything, just like from your experience, yeah.
Okay, well, the Japanese people, it was hard to read them. So they are very serious and quiet and reserved. So with Korean people, I can feel if they are confused or if they're confused or struggling, maybe they'll communicate that. With the tutor experience, they will tell me honestly, oh, I'm not understanding, I'm confused. But in public, when the public eye is on them, they pretend they understand.
Me too. Whenever like I miss like a during unbearable conversation, I keep smiling.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yes. We just become like yes man. Oh yeah.
Exactly, and that's for like 10 years. There have been times when I have somebody out. The executives and like top business owners don't usually join my friends and I, but the university students often came to join friends and did like some dinners, and I can feel when they're just like they're laughing with everybody, but I can feel they don't understand. So I find a clever way to explain it again or say something more so they understand. Yeah, so Chinese with English, now the pronunciation is an issue because the Chinese language, they have so much like emphasis.
Intonation.
Yeah, intonation. So when they speak, it's very strong, and if they want to sound like a native English speaker, if they want to, many people care about pronunciation. So if they really want to improve their English, for Koreans, I always tell them, don't worry about your pronunciation. Only on some words it's important to fix it. Because if you make a mistake in some cases, it can cause a big problem. But with Chinese people, sometimes their accent is so strong that you can't understand anything they're saying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so maybe they can be a very good speaker, but if they're speaking very loud and emphasizing some parts, people might get jumbled or something.
그렇구나. Could you tell us some like a funny story or during like your teaching classes?
Yeah, I've had many funny experiences. And actually, I'll start with one story. You can decide if you want to keep this in the video or not. I didn't think about this. I didn't think to ask you what we can say on this kind of channel. Okay, well, the first one is I had a student who felt very comfortable telling me about her private life. She was Korean and a university student, and she broke up with her boyfriend. And she said, oh, we broke up, and I thought, I said, oh, I'm so sorry, and I thought she kept saying, because he had sex with a tiger.
NANI? Whoa, what?
Yes, so that was my experience, and I was like, wait, I'm sorry, and we were in a professional setting, like a famous kind of like study center in right by Empire State Building, and I couldn't scream, so I was like, wait, what? So she's like, oh, yeah, I found out. He didn't tell me, but when I asked him, he told me he had sex with a tiger. And I was like, oh,
hold
Yeah.
나 이해를 못했어. 야, 뭐?
Yeah, sex with a tiger, yes. So it took some time, and we kept talking about this, and I said, wait, like this is not possible. And she said, yes, it is. Like I know it happened. So we kept talking. Finally, I said, wait, you know, something's wrong here. Please say it in a different way. So many times, if I can't understand what they're saying and I sense a problem, I say, please say it a different way. And she said, oh, she's from Thailand. She's a girl. So, Thai girl. My boyfriend had texted a Thai girl. So another story that I really will always remember is I had one student, she was very, very rich. Her husband owned 3 big famous hotels in New York City. And
Korean?
Yes, he's Korean. And
wife is also.
Yeah, so I think he's one of those cases where he had a dual citizenship both for America and Korea. Some people can pay a lot of money and keep both for some time. So the husband had a lot of money and very famous businesses, and she was so rich that she seemed very bored by everything. Nothing was exciting.
삶이 재미없겠네. 와.
Yeah. And I met her and I liked her as a person, but she was just, any topic that we tried to talk about, she was not interested in talking about it. So she was just like, yeah, you know. Yeah,
she feels like she's kind of a queen of the world.
Yeah, and I think some people, when they're very rich, I've noticed that they experience everything too early in life. So when you already have the best of everything, it's kind of like, well, nothing's going to be more exciting than that, you know. Yeah. So any topic I tried, usually I have no problem coming up with some topic, and they are interested in something, and then she's just like, yeah, you know. Yeah.
아, 사는 게 재미없어. 흥미로운 게 없어.
Yeah. But finally, one day I was thinking, I have no idea what to talk about with her. So maybe I will mention sports. You know, doesn't seem like sports kind of girl. So I just went there and I said, oh, you know, like this weekend I saw a Mets game, and like, you know, do you know Channel Pop? Am I saying that right?
박찬호.
박찬호. Yes.
LA 다저스 박찬호.
Yeah. So I tried to say it the correct way, 박찬호. But in America they call them, you know, Channel Pak. So I asked her, do you know Pak Chano? And then she said, yeah, I had dinner with him on Friday. So
What?
again, you know, I was confused. So I was like, wait, no. Do you know that he's famous? He's a famous baseball player. He played for Mets, New York Mets, and Yankees. And she's like, yes, I had dinner with him on Friday. So I was like, no, you didn't. Korean people care too much about what other people think. Is Samsung are like top, like Samsung employees, yeah.